Hello everybody and welcome to a multitasking video, alright? We got multiple things to do in this video. The first one is to talk about what has happened since we've uploaded last. So since I last uploaded a video, I have had some things happen. First of all, I went to go see the Mario Galaxy movie, which is why there was nothing on April 1st. And we were going to record a review, which we're going to do right now. That's this. This is a Mario Galaxy review, but it's also a multitask where we yap about some shit. So if you want to get to the actual review, skip to this point. But for the people who actually care about this, stick around and I'll tell you what happened. So us not uploading that day was solely because we were doing the Mario Galaxy thing, and I had a whole day spent around it, and we were going to the movies and stuff, and I wanted it to be cool and special. Then later on, I think somewhere around the next day, I just kind of got caught up doing bunch of random shit, if I'm being honest. I was drawing, I was cleaning, I was deep cleaning my entire house, and sweeping floors and cleaning out the area that I sleep at and stuff like that. So I was really busy with that, and I just kind of forgot to upload. And I know this sounds like a bunch of bullshit excuses, but listen, okay, I'm just saying what happened, alright? We went to Mario movie, we deep cleaned the house, and that was like 2 days worth of stuff. And then around 2 days ago, I fell on my stairs, and I was like walking up the stairs, and I missed a stair, and I fell, and I hit directly on my elbow, like right here. I'm not gonna show you guys the thing, because that would be gross, but it is a band-aid right now. And I got another one on my arm as well, because both of those spots hit directly on the sharp part of the stairs. So on top of that, I also hit both of my knees as well, but no one cares about that. Who needs to walk? I don't need to walk. But I do need to move my arms for doing YouTube videos and stuff. So that is why we haven't done anything for a little bit. I've been like out of commission for like 2 days, and I can still move my arm around. It's not that big of a deal or anything, especially at this point because it's kind of healed a little bit. But using a keyboard and mouse hurts a lot, so I haven't been doing that for the past couple days. And I think it's because when I landed on the stair, I hit right on my elbow, right at it's like right here, so right in the seam between my arm and my bones. So every single time I move my arm in any way that's like a hinge, it fucking hurts. And I haven't been doing YouTube videos because of that. I've also been getting distracted as well with other stuff like drawing, because I've been drawing a lot. Not while my arm has been fucked up, of course, but besides that, on the previous days that I was talking about, I also spent a lot of time drawing pictures, which we will do another video on kind of soon. But also, I wanted to do Deltarune, not genocide. What's the Snowgrave? That's the right route. I wanted to do. I almost said genocide again. I wanted to do Deltarune Snowgrave really, really badly, but at this point we have tried and failed to record that like 4 times. So we didn't do that. Instead, we have done a reaction cut of everything that Snowgrave has to offer. So we are going to be posting that at some point soon as well. I got so distracted I forgot what I was saying. Fuck. Well, that's bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, we will be doing another drawing video soon. I wasn't drawing for the longest time, but recently I've been drawing a lot more because for my birthday, I got a drawing tablet, which I talked about in my birthday video that was a while back. So I've been also spending a lot more time doing that, which means that we have a lot more to show off since the last video, which is I'm actually very excited for that because I get to talk about all the cool lore behind all the pictures and stuff, which is like my favorite part of drawing. I love creating like scenarios for the characters that I have to be in, and it's just very nice and very fun, and I love being creative. And that's part of what I've been doing a lot in the background, because even beyond all the shit that I've been talking about, I have been brainstorming for This House Has People in It. I've been brainstorming a lot because we have to do a theory video on that. And a little bit more than brainstorming. We got a bit of shit written down and all that, And we are getting things lined up to do the reaction that I promised, and also Snowgrave and stuff. But Snowgrave's not going to be a full thing. It's just a edited down video. And I should have had this out a long time ago. Let's be real. I promised this like before the Resident Evil video, so it's been like half a month, and I am so sorry. It's been like 15 days without this video up, and I did promise it. But the poll, okay, so what happened is the poll that I put out for this was kind of like, I don't think I put a timer on it at any point in time. So when I checked it the first time, Snowgrave was winning. And then I checked it again later, and the reaction to a horror short was winning. So in my mind, I was like, all right, fuck it, we'll do both. And then I didn't do either. And some of that is me getting distracted with stupid shit. Well, I say stupid shit, but when I say that, I really mean just like hanging out with friends and doing things with people and growing friendships and stuff. And that is also important too, so it's good that I'm doing that. This sounds like that sounds so stupid. I sound like a robot, but you know what I mean. It's good to hang out with people, and I don't want to take away the importance of that for like, oh, I should be spending time on YouTube and making YouTube videos, because I do think that hanging out with people is super, super important, and I don't want to like give that up just to make YouTube videos. But usually I have time to do all that stuff and still come on here and do YouTube videos for you guys. But recently I've been hit with a bunch of shit, which has been apparent if you've been paying attention to the posts on this channel, because for a while we were straight up sick for like 2 weeks. We were out of commission for like 2 weeks. And then now, as time goes on, it's like we're getting hit with more and more shit. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, if it's just gonna keep happening, then I gotta adapt and just post anyway, right? So now I'm trying to figure out ways to do this shit while still, you know, trying to keep everything together. Because even right now, my arm hurts, man. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't. Doing anything with my arm hurts. But when I'm doing YouTube videos, that shit is just natural. I just move my arms. So I'm trying really hard to hold my arm still right now, especially as someone with like really bad ADHD. It's so hard for me to hold still, and so hard for me to like not do stuff. So just even something like keeping my arm like this over and over is just so hard for me to do. But regardless, thank you for listening to this bullshit. Now let's talk about the Super Mario Galaxy movie, right? But if you are here for just the review, you're just now tuning into this part, in which case, welcome to the review. We're going to talk about Mario Galaxy movie, the pros and cons of the movie, how I felt about it overall, and then we're going to do a quick story synopsis and give it a rating. So if you are excited for that, like and subscribe. If you're not excited for that, what are you doing here? I mean, but avoiding spoilers at the start. I'm gonna try to avoid most of the spoilers, except for what's in the, you know, trailers. We've got Bowser Jr., Star Fox, all the things in the trailers that I can talk about. And then we're gonna dip into spoiler territory, and we're gonna talk about the entire plot. So to get into it, I think this movie overall is kind of polarizing for me, and I know I said that about the last movie I watched too, but it's kind of true, because there's a lot of stuff that I like about this movie, and there's a lot of stuff I don't like about this movie. So to get into it, the very first problem that I have to point out is the licensed music. That's right, there's licensed music. It's the worst thing ever, and I hate it. And that's personal bias for sure. That's something that a lot of people don't give a fuck about in movies and all that. But whenever I'm watching a movie, and especially when it's Illumination, and I hear like fucking Biggie in the background, I'm upset, okay? It doesn't... And a lot of people probably loved it. A lot of people were very happy with the licensed music in this movie, but I was not, and I did not enjoy it. And the second biggest problem that I had with this movie was just like the overall pacing is insane. And I know that's the complaint that every single person in existence has. And I'm also kind of two-sided on that complaint, because while I do think that this movie is insane and goes way too fast for its own good, it also is kind of one of those things where I'm like, well, it does give us these like cool set pieces and all these different locations and all the different things that are just like, oh, it's visually eye candy and it's all bright and colorful on your screen, right? And as an adult, That's like a bad thing. But as a kid, or an adult bringing a kid to a movie, that's what you love to see. You love to see it. And that's another thing that is like not really a complaint, but more of just an observation that I had while watching this movie. And that's that it feels very important to keep in mind that this is a children's movie, right? So this is like for kids, and everything is gonna be a little bit stupid and a little bit like played up and kind of dumb and very, very, very ADHD, especially with the way attention span is nowadays. And all of those things ring very, very true in this movie. Shit moves at the pace of a rocket, just on metaphor. This movie moves at breakneck pace. Pace. This movie moves at breakneck pace, and they do not give a fuck if you know what's going on or not. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna throw everything at you on screen, and it's gonna go insane. And it kind of does. The best thing I can say about this movie, the biggest pro that I had while watching this movie was while watching it, every time I looked at anything, I was like, damn, that's kind of beautiful. That's like gorgeous. And I know that's a whatever take at this point. I mean, Nintendo has billions and billions of clams to throw at this movie, so of course it's gonna be beautiful. But it is, though, and I'm not gonna like deny that. I'm not gonna not observe that. And these locations and like the star bits and everything that you see in this movie is very visually pleasing. Even stuff like Fox McCloud's outfit moving in the wind and like his fur physics and when he uses his little eye thingy, it's all really cool. And it all looks awesome. Even the fight scenes are super, super well done and really, really good. But I don't want it to seem like the only good thing here is the look of the movie, because there was some things that were pretty good for me, personally, where I was like, oh, I like that a lot. I liked Luigi's character a lot in this movie. I liked most of the voice acting, which we'll elaborate on when we actually cover the full plot and all that. And I liked a lot of the set design and locations and all the actors and stuff, but there were a few things that kind of like were a little sour on that front, because they do have some weird focus. They do have some weird picks for certain stuff. Like, for example, there is a scene where Princess Peach goes to a casino, and in that casino, it's like Mario Galaxy where they have different gravities, so it goes on like the walls and the roofs and stuff. And it's very, very visually pleasing, but this scene overall is a little like, it just feels like it was thrown in there just to be thrown in there, because it doesn't really do much. It just kind of tells Peach where to go next. It doesn't really help the plot that much. But it's cool, and it looks cool, and it's visually interesting, and there's colors and bright things everywhere on screen. At a certain point watching this movie, I kind of realized that that's a lot of this movie. It's all just like, look at how cool this is. Look at how explodey and cool looking this is. And I do think it does look cool, but at the end of the day, I liked these moments where they had these real plot things going on and were actually doing something with the explosions and action scenes. Because, like, my favorite scenes in the movie are the scenes that are, like, purposeful, you know? Like, for example, in the trailer, you see Luigi kicking Bowser Jr., and that's, like, them fighting, and that particular fight scene has a lot more impact because it feels like it meant something at the end of the day. But then other stuff like, certain decisions they made during the plot, which we'll get into in a minute, just kind of like, they just feel random. It just feels like, oh yeah, just throw that in there because it looks cool, or throw that in there because the kids will love that. And while that may be true, it is also like, well, you could have used that time to like flesh out this, or like do a little bit more in this location or something like that. But as an outside perspective, or not what the fuck? Yeah, I watched it outside the theater. But as someone who didn't really care about the first Mario movie and took super, super long to watch it, because it just wasn't really that much of an appeal to me, I wasn't going into this super excited for anything in particular. I know a lot of people were really hyped about Rosalina being in the movie, and a lot of people are disappointed to know that she's not really in the movie that much at all. But a lot of that stuff I kind of expected going into this, because realistically, I view Nintendo as a corporate company who makes corporate decisions, because at the end of the day, that is what they are. And even though they make amazing games, their decisions as a company are anything but. Their decisions as a company are nothing but brutal and mean and evil. So, of course, they would do something like advertise a shit ton of Rosalina stuff and be like, look, guys, she's in the movie, and then she's there for like 5 minutes on screen. Of course they would do that. I was expecting that. But then other stuff like them revealing Fox in a trailer is just like, oh, I hate that. Because that is such a big reveal in the movie. And it's like really cool and played up as a big reveal, but they ruined it by advertising it and being like, hey, he's in the movie, guys, look. And did it get people's ass in more seats? Probably, yes. But at the end of the day, it made watching the movie a little bit less exciting, because when I saw that scene where I normally would have lost my shit being like, oh, Star Fox, he's finally back, I was like, oh, I already knew that. Okay. Like, it just sours the mood a little bit. Which leads me to my next and possibly most severe complaint. I hated the advertising for this movie. This movie's advertising was atrocious. And I don't mean the advertising made the movie look bad or anything like that, but the advertising was such like, it was so like mean. It was like, look, it's Rosalina, guys, look, we got Rosalina, and it's like, look, the frog guy, you like the frog guy, right? We have all these crazy things. And then they ended up doing nothing with most of them. Because even the frog character that they hyped up by having on that, like, actor list thing, he's not there for very long at all. He's there for like 10-15 minutes, and he does nothing. He sits down. And I think he was good. I think it was a good character, and Luis Guzman did his shit, although a couple of the lines were a little bit weird. But other than like a couple weird lines here or there, where he just doesn't really deliver it that well, I think, you know, it was pretty good overall. And I like to see all the other things that we saw as well, which I won't spoil yet. But all these advertising decisions just ended up making the movie a little bit worse, in my opinion, because it just makes it a little bit more sour. And that's just me being like, oh, I hate companies and shit, because I do. But, you know, it's hard to ignore when this shit is so blatant, because it is kind of everywhere. So it does make the movie a little bit worse, but I'm not gonna let that, like, affect the actual rating of the movie, because that would be kind of dumb. But the advertising does genuinely make me very upset. And it's like, damn, Nintendo, if you just saved like one of those things as a surprise, that would have been nice. But no, every surprise in the movie, they're like, hey guys, look, it's right there. That's the whole movie. It's like, oh my god, dude. And there were a couple things that caught me off guard, and a couple things that they saved as a surprise from the advertising demons. But those things weren't necessarily that cool. They were still pretty neat reveals, and I liked the way they did stuff. But, you know, just overall, they were like not that cool. And speaking of overall, what would I rate this movie out of 100? I'm thinking maybe like a 65. I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people fucking hate this movie. And I get it. I understand why. But I did have a good time watching. And I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I didn't enjoy the movie. I didn't have fun because I'm an angry, grumpy person who doesn't like beautiful scenery and amazing set pieces. Like, I'm not blind, okay? I'm not gonna ignore the fact that this thing does look amazing. I'm not gonna ignore the fact that, like, seeing Star Fox on screen was cool, even if it was literally just to, like, set up the Super Smash Bros. Movie. I'm not that cynical, alright? I still had a good time. But I think, you know, it's just one of those things where a lot of people are treating this like absolute garbage, like the lowest of low. I've seen people say that this movie is worse than the original 1980s Mario movie, which, to that I say, definitely rage bait, for sure. I'm not an idiot, alright? I understand that. But also, that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at, where we're like, oh, this thing is objectively worse than this thing. It's like, come on, people. What are you fucking talking about? I mean, I know it's just to get people to click on articles and stuff, but damn, Like, damn. And that's one of the things that I've noticed while going over this movie and reviewing it and looking at other people's reviews for it. It kind of makes me sad where we're at right now because everyone is so angry. Everyone is pissed off right now. And I'm just like, damn. I mean, I get it. I get being mad. There's a lot of stuff to be mad about. But if you're gonna do like a movie review or something, I feel like you gotta kind of leave that anger at the door and then watch the movie with like a happier mindset or something, because damn, some of these people I've seen review this are just being mean. They're like, oh, I hate Nintendo, so I don't like this movie. And it's like, okay, cool. But did you say anything objective about it? Probably not. And sure, a lot of these people are just like people complaining on Twitter or whatever, so nothing they say is really that serious or supposed to be taken as like, you know, an actual review. But I have seen some genuine complaints about this movie that I do agree with, and I think those are very, very like accurate a lot of the time. And we're about to jump into spoilers because there's a specific thing I want to talk about that I despise in this movie that happens for way too long. So we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna get into heavy spoilers after that. So, you know, spoiler alert, final warning, if you don't want to watch this far, don't. My rating for the movie is 65%. Everybody here good with spoilers? Good, because it's happening right now. I hate Baby Mario and Baby Luigi. Listen. There's a couple scenes like this in the movie that are 100% just shoehorned in to be like, guys, look, that's the thing you like, right? And also, you know that all of these things are going to be turned into toys and sold and turned into merch and turned into all these different products. And seeing that type of like corporate view of stuff is a little cynical, but in this particular instance, it's so hard not to like notice it. And I know that Baby Mario and Luigi have been around for a long time. That's not necessarily what I mean with that character. But them being there is 100% just like, oh, well, we got the money to throw them in there, so let's throw them in there, and then we can make those toys too. And it's like, damn, dude. Same thing with stuff like the frog suit from Super Mario 2. They have the frog suit in this movie. The frog suit is there for like 3 minutes. I think there could have been another scene where it gets used, but from what I saw, it's literally just the one scene, which is Luigi jumping into the water, then it's a giant fish, he jumps out, puts the suit on, then he jumps on the fish, and then it's gone and it's never seen again on screen. From my knowledge and my memory of the movie, that doesn't show up ever again, and if it does, it's not for very long. And there's stuff like that where I'm like, damn, they really just wanted to sell a product. And it's like, oh my god, it's kind of sad. Because even stuff like Yoshi, I mean, I like Yoshi in this movie. He is surprisingly not annoying, which is like another pro that I wrote down because I didn't think that was gonna happen. I thought they were gonna turn him into a minion, but he was actually pretty good in this movie. I liked him, and just the fact he's played by Donald Glover is a massive plus. But with Yoshi in this movie, there is a scene at the beginning where Yoshi is explaining to Mario and Luigi where he came from. This is the scene where they play Biggie music in the background, and it's very upsetting. But in this scene, he gets like a bag and a hat and like stickers on his ass and stuff as he's traveling, and then they all chase him out of the real world and he goes into a warp pipe, and that's how Mario and Luigi find him. So that's like his origin story, but Nintendo has already released figurines of Yoshi with the hat and the bag on from that literally 1 minute scene, and it's like, wow. And I know that's not surprising to anyone. I mean, it's Mario, it's Nintendo. They're the advertising and merchandise kings. They're the ones that make merch out of literally everything. But it is like, it feels a little bad. It feels a little bad to see this type of stuff and to be able to see it so transparently. Because like, back in the day, they would try at least a little bit to kind of hide this stuff. But nowadays, they're just like, you're gonna buy it anyway, aren't you? Fork it over, pal. And it's like, oh man. But besides the like dystopian shit, obviously this movie is a pretty good watch. It's pretty decent, and if you're able to ignore that type of corporate bullshit, you're gonna have a lot better of a time with this movie. I've seen a lot of people say, if you turn your brain off, you'll love this movie, and I don't like to turn my brain off. I don't like doing that for the sake of a film, because I feel like that's throwing the film a bone that it doesn't deserve in this case, because this is Nintendo, baby. This is big bucks. So realistically, they should be able to make a kids movie be good. They have the money to, but at the end of the day, they just wanted it to be bright colors and beautiful lights, and it is, and it's a lot of stuff that is kind of dumb, but overall, I think it works together pretty well, and I think it is worth watching. It's a good watch, but after paying money to go see it, I wouldn't do that again, if I'm being honest. Wait till it's on streaming services or something. But overall, not a bad movie. Not that bad at all. And if you're able to ignore all the corporate stuff, you'll probably like it a ton. You'll probably love this movie. And if you have children, and you need something bright and colorful to place in front of their face for 2 hours, then you will absolutely adore this movie. Because that is the target demographic. Obviously, I'm not the one that they were targeting this movie towards, but the only reason that I went to go see this movie is because my fiance wanted to go see it as well, so we went together and we made it like a good date night. And they liked the movie a bit more than me. They gave it a 71%, which is like a bit better, but I think they also still kind of had a lot of these same complaints. But their complaints were a lot more around like kind of the problems with the advertising, like the stuff that I expected. They were upset that Rosalina had no screen time and stuff like that, and you know, even the lore rewrites. Jesus, that was hard to say, right? Even all the new lore is just kind of strange because, like, spoiler alert, massive spoiler, they made Peach and Rosalina sisters, and it's like, what? Why? How and why would they ever be sisters? I don't think that was established anywhere beforehand, and it just makes it, like, very weird. I don't know. Like, relating Peach to Rosalina feels bad because Peach was supposed to have all this magic and stuff on her own, because Peach is like the strong character in Mario. She's like insane in Mario, Luigi, and all that shit. She has like superpowers everywhere, and she's summoning hearts out of nowhere, and I think in one of the games she has magic depending on her emotions or some shit. And she's always been super strong, but she's never needed Rosalina there to literally hold her hand for her to use that magic and stuff. So it feels like it just doesn't feel right. It feels weird to make her reliant on Rosalina like that. And it feels like they're just gonna make like a huge push for Rosalina and Peach hanging out like sisters type shit. And it's just, it feels weird because it also rewrites Rosalina's story, because Rosalina was like stuck on a planet on her own raising Lumas, but now in the new movie she was stuck on a planet with Peach. Then she threw Peach into a warp pipe after fighting off Bowser or not Bowser, someone, and like creating a shit ton of planets and stuff. And like then I think she creates the Luma. It's so stupid. It's worse than the actual game. And don't even get me started about the actual Lumas themselves. I do not like the Lumas, Sam I Am. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. They are annoying. And you know, maybe that's just me being easily like annoyed by very obvious, just like, let's make a cute character, because I've never liked those. I always know, like, it's so painfully obvious that they're like, oh, people are gonna buy the shit out of the Lumas if we make them sound like little babies. Like, that is definitely the motivation behind making them sound this way, and that is a little sad, and I think that sours the mood a lot for me. Even though they aren't that bad voice acting wise, it's not like they're super, you know, crazy children voice actors who sound like shit or anything like that. Like, they're pretty good. And I think like the cringiest thing that they say is like, this is what happens when you don't have a bedtime, some shit like that. But just overall, I really liked the original sounds of the Lumas in the Mario Galaxy game, and you can still hear those sounds sometimes when they move around, but it's like a motion sound now. It's not like the sound they make when they speak, so it's so weird. And I think the best way to have done it would have been to make them like silent, and I guess you can't really make them silent and still have them give exposition, which is kind of like the problem that they ran into during the Lumas. But I feel like making them sound like little babies. Like, I know they're like star children or whatever, but it just feels so... It feels like the little kid in Minions. It feels like the Lumas are that kid. And they're like, oh, it's so fluffy, I could die, like that shit. That's the type of thing that reminds me of. And it's just like, it's not great, in my opinion. I think it could be better, but I don't know how they would make it better, so I'm not gonna shit on that too much. But they did not sound very good to me. I kind of wish they were just like noises, and then they gave them like a note or something to get the exposition across. Like, I feel like that might have been a little better. Or maybe they like touch his head and beam thoughts into his brain or some shit. I don't know. I know all of these complaints sound super like cynical, and a lot of them come from a place of like, well, I hate the company. And I know I was saying, I'm like, you should not let that affect the actual movie review. But in this particular case, and in the case of a lot of Illumination stuff for me personally, it's very hard to ignore. And especially like these big companies nowadays, like Disney and all the classic animation studios that are still around for like hundreds of years, and they're these giant powerhouses. It's gotten to the point where they're not really trying to hide this stuff anymore. They're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this and you're gonna buy it. So it's hard for me to ignore. But I think ignoring that, I think I would still be kind of annoyed with certain ideas in this movie and certain things that happen. Because a lot of it is just like, oh, it's silly and funny. But again, I'm not the target demographic. I'm like older than the people that are supposed to be watching this movie. So all of these complaints you will have to take with a grain of salt, because again, I'm not the target. This is like a movie review of someone who went because their fiance wanted to watch it and because everyone's talking about this movie right now. And I saw a lot of people saying some stuff about this movie that I was like, well, I mean, I get it, but I wouldn't be that harsh about it. And that's kind of how I feel about this movie. I feel like it's not that good, but it's also not that bad. It's like thoroughly in the middle. It's not that bad. And it is worth watching, if not for the visuals alone, because it is beautiful, like I said before. But you can hear these cons that I'm talking about and very easily get the idea that I hate this movie. But I don't necessarily hate it. I just kind of like have to notice these things. Like, my brain doesn't really let me avoid it. And now you guys are burdened with this too, because you gotta hear me complain about it. So, but thank you all for listening to me complaining about this movie. This movie, it was decent. It's not the worst movie in the world. There was a lot of style changes that I really liked that I forgot to mention until just now. Like, there's certain points where they have the 8-bit art style. There's a section in the movie where Bowser is using hand puppets with Bowser Jr., and it's like really it's really well done. It's really well animated and just like beautiful to look at. But that's the whole movie. That's everything in this movie is just like gorgeous, and it's hard not to notice that as well, because that's like everything. Even just like Peach is flying past some stuff, and there's like an entire planet with beautiful visuals that you never see again, and she flies past it in like 1 second. And you know, it's Nintendo, they have infinite money, so they can definitely do whatever they want for this movie, which is why it's so sporadic and why everything feels so changey super quickly. It's because they were like, well, we have the budget, let's throw it all in. But this giant, colorful strobe light of a blender is like, it's a little messy. It's a little messy. It feels like it doesn't have a lid on it, and it's just kind of going everywhere. But at the end of the day, it's still pretty good though, and it gets you your protein and you get your vegetables in there too, with the potential story beats of like, oh, you gotta be a good father to your kid because I was a bad father to Bowser Jr. and I feel bad. And does this metaphor make any sense? Hopefully, probably. But either way, I'm gonna go now. My arm hurts, so I will see you guys probably tomorrow. I don't know. We're gonna try to get these videos out super quickly, but for now, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Peace out. Oh yeah, also don't forget Patreon. Go check out Patreon. Look at Patreon, and the guys that look at Patreon are cool, and it's free, and you don't have to spend any money, because that would be lame. But yeah, see you guys. Bye.